This metal is inside your phone, your laptop, and almost every electric car on Earth. And the country that controls most of it just pulled a move that could flip the global EV market upside down. Prices, batteries, and billion-dollar companies are all on the line, and almost nobody is paying attention. And this story has two choke points: one border crossing in southern Congo, and one refining bottleneck on the other side of the world. This is the Democratic Republic of Congo, Central Africa, almost 100 million people, one of the most resource-rich places on Earth. Under this soil, cobalt, copper, gold, minerals the modern world literally cannot function without. Quick myth bust before we go further. Cobalt is not a rare earth, it's a critical battery metal. And Congo doesn't just mine a lot of it. Congo mines most of it. Here's what happened. Cobalt prices collapsed. Too much supply. Too little demand. So Congo did something extreme. First, they banned exports. The market panicked. Prices jumped, then the ban stopped, then they came back. Total chaos. Then the suspension was extended through September 2025. The message was clear. Congo is willing to pull the emergency brake. But instead of repeating surprise bans forever, Congo switched to something planners can model: quotas. Now, Congo says the guessing game is over. As of October 16, 2025, Congo replaced export bans with hard annual quotas. For 2026 and 2027, exports are capped at 96,600 tons. Here's the simple version. Congo's regulator, ARICOMS, allocates export quotas largely based on historical export volumes. So producers get a slice, but nobody can exceed the national cap. It's basically a throttle, not stop the market, but control the flow. That's about half of what left the country in 2024. And to avoid a supply chain meltdown, leftover 2025 quotas can still be used until March 31st, 2026. Every time Congo hinted at restricting cobalt, prices jumped instantly. But here's the plot twist. Even with all this chaos, battery packs actually got cheaper. In 2025, average battery costs fell to around $108 per kilowatt hour. So how is that possible? Two words: overcapacity and LFP batteries. By 2024, LFP was nearly half of the global EV battery market, and in China it's closer to 3/4. That's the cobalt-free lane. But many long-range and performance-focused EVs still lean on NMC/NCA, chemistry for energy density and cold weather performance. So cobalt isn't vanishing. The market is splitting. LFP uses zero cobalt. NMC and NCA still depend on it. So some EVs are exposed to Congo's moves. Others are basically insulated. Quick back of napkin. If cobalt jumps just $5 per pound, a cobalt heavy pack can see tens to low hundreds of dollars added in raw materials before processing. Margins and markups ripple through the supply chain. Not thousands, but not nothing. Remember those two choke points? Here they are. Choke point number 1, Kasumbalesa, the DRC Zambia border crossing where cobalt and copper trucks can sit for days. Choke point number 2, refining. Congo mines the cobalt, but China refines most of it. When Congo changes the rules, Chinese refineries feel it first, then battery makers, then car companies, then you. And because refining is so concentrated, even a small disruption can send a big price signal down the chain. And by 2024, the top refining players controlled roughly 86% of global cobalt refining. That's insane concentration. To understand this, we have to rewind. Late 1800s. Congo becomes the personal property of King Leopold II of Belgium. Extraction without mercy. No infrastructure built for locals. Independence comes in 1960, but without institutions. Then decades of corruption under Mobutu. Then wars that pull in half of Central Africa. Today, eastern regions still face violence. Armed groups like M23 disrupt lives, and the roads cobalt depends on. And without security, you don't get factories, you don't get power grids, and you don't get long-term investment. Now brace yourself. One of the most mineral-rich countries on Earth, and only about 1 in 5 people has electricity. Out of 58,000 kilometers of national roads, only about 5% are paved. That means moving cobalt, food, or medicine is slow, dangerous, and expensive. Think of this like a decision tree. Same country, same metal. 3 very different outcomes. Future number 1, controlled pressure, if quotas are enforced. If quotas hold and corridors stay open, oversupply fades, prices stabilize, and Congo nudges more processing at home. Buyers pay premiums, but nothing breaks. Future number 2, breakdown, if quotas are gamed or corridors collapse. If corridors close or quotas get gamed, exports stall, prices spike, and automakers accelerate the shift to cobalt-free chemistries faster than planned. Future number 3, the power move, if partnerships deliver. If partnerships translate into real projects, cleaner contracts, power builds, and corridors like Sakania, to Libido become predictable routes, lower risk, real infrastructure, real leverage. Forget 20-year master plans. Here's what works fast. Fix the exact roads cobalt trucks already use instant efficiency gains. Deploy mini-grids near mining towns, clinics, schools, and workshops turn on overnight. Formalize remaining artisanal mining with co-ops and digital tracking safer work and better prices. Because when infrastructure fails, the informal economy fills the gap, and that's where the hardest human rights risks show up, including child labor. And by the way, artisanal cobalt is now under 2% of total production. Small share by volume, but it can carry an outsized share of suffering and reputational risk. If you want to track this like an insider, watch these 4 things. Quota burn rates, border wait times at Kasumbalesa, new mini-grids near mining hubs, any refinery capacity built outside China. Here's what almost nobody talks about. Congo isn't just reacting, this is leverage. But it's time-sensitive leverage because the world is also racing to use less cobalt per battery. When one country controls most of a critical input and the world is trying to electrify everything, that country has bargaining power. Not to break the market, but to force better terms. Longer contracts, cleaner sourcing, real infrastructure commitments. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Chinese refiners don't want volatility. Automakers don't want surprises. Everyone wants predictable flow. So while headlines scream shortage, boardrooms are doing math. Can we stockpile? Can we redesign packs? Can we move faster to LFP or high manganese? And this is why quotas, not bans, matter. Quotas scare you, but they also let planners breathe. Let's say Congo plays this right. Corridors work, power turns on, contracts stick. That means local processing jobs, stable tax revenue, roads that farmers actually use, not just mining trucks. And here's the part most people miss when infrastructure improves. Violence gets more expensive. Stability isn't just moral, it's economic. Now the hard truth. If corridors stay blocked, if power projects stall, if contracts break, buyers won't wait. They'll redesign batteries, they'll shift chemistries, they'll move capital elsewhere. And once demand leaves, it doesn't come back easily. This isn't just about Congo. This is about how the clean energy transition actually works. And minerals aren't just dug, they're negotiated. And the price of your EV, your phone, your grid-scale batteries is shaped years before you swipe your card. Congo's cobalt quotas aren't just policy, they're a stress test. Can the world build clean tech without repeating extractive history? If leverage turns into roads, power, and schools, everyone wins. Comment MAP for the Cobalt Flow Map and Corridors and Kilowatts checklist. And next episode, we break down LFP versus NMC versus the future chemistries that could decide who wins the battery wars.